Your weather guy back with another video update. Hope everyone had a good Christmas. We're about 5 days away from the start of the new year and the start of a major pattern change that we've been tracking now for a couple weeks, but it's coming. It's coming quickly. So this is the GFS. We're going to take a look at a couple, really one threat here in the shorter term. Then we'll take a look at the overall weather pattern, how that's shaping up. And talk about some potential windows for some pretty big storms. So here we have the GFS this is New Year's Eve, 7 p.m. New Year's Eve. We have low pressure system cutting up the Ohio Valley. And there's just so much confluence up north that is going to want to jump to the east. And a lot of the models are now showing this, where the low pressure actually jumps towards the east coast, starts to pull in some of that colder air. And now we have snow. So right as the pattern starts to change, we have our first storm threat. So we could see a potential snowstorm for portions of the interior Northeast and New England. If you're along 95, I think, Philadelphia, New York, DC, this is not your storm. It's just not going to jump to the coast quick enough and pull down cold air quick enough to change you over to snow. Boston, you're still in the game for this. But this is looking very interesting for the first of the year. Quite a way to bring in the new year. If you're out west, pretty active pattern. A few more systems coming in. This is now going January 6th and 7th, and then it will finally start to quiet down as the big ridge really builds in the west. We're going to take a look at that now. Take a look at the overall weather pattern here. Let's back this up. So here's where we are now. Trough, really in the upper, Gulf of Alaska, extending towards the Pacific Northwest. And look at all of that ridging up over there in eastern Canada. Really impressive ridging, and that is going to be a player in our weather pattern here. And then as we go into New Year's Eve and the new year, we see that trough really get eaten away, being replaced by now some ridging out west, and a big trough starting to develop the eastern part of the United States. And that is a huge, huge pattern change. And one that's going to be markedly colder if you're, really east of the Rockies, especially the eastern third of the United States, going to get cold, and it looks like it's going to stay cold. So this is now January 4th, and we see that pattern really just setting in here. And this is now January 6th. I'll pause it here. This looks like, our next real storm signal right around this time. We have that positive P&A, negative EPO. That's the big ridging. Those brighter colors out in the western part of North America up into Alaska. Look at all that ridging, those bright colors over the Arctic. So that's our negative AO. And then we have our ridging there, classic ridging over Greenland up towards Baffin Island. That's a negative NAO. So, and then right here you see, that's our 50-50 low is what you call that. Right around 50, 50 west, 50 north. All the pieces are in place around this time for a big snowstorm along the East Coast. Now, still way too far out for specifics. The models aren't even really jumping on this yet. We're kind of at that sniffing out stage where we take a look at the overall weather pattern, look for the ingredients, and say, okay, this is a window where we could see something pop. Now, all the synoptics are in place, and obviously we need other things to fall into place as far as pieces of energy, where does the low pressure system form? So that's that. So at this point, we're just looking at the larger scale synoptics here of the pattern. Right now this looks like a window. So as we get closer, those models, we'll see if they start to really jump on it and see if they can time together those pieces. But when we look at this, we have positive P&A, negative EPO, negative Arctic oscillation, negative North Atlantic oscillation, 50-50 low potentially. So all the pieces in place right there. So I would say January 6th through about the 8th looks like a pretty good window. So I'm going to circle that one on my calendar. And as those models come in, we'll have to see if if the pattern still looks. It's about as good as it looks. So do they start to back away from this as we get closer to that period, or do we see the models really start to pick up on this and we start to see some solutions on on those model runs? So we'll have to see. Stay tuned. Please subscribe to the channel, and we'll get those updates out. But entering a really interesting pattern, and we're even really going forward. So now this is January 8th, and as we go into the second week of January, still have that ridging over top in the Arctic, Western North America, big ridge. Really a pattern like this, you could see something pop at any point. You really can. Just trying to target some specific dates here, as far as when we could see a potential storm form. But really, you have a pattern like this. It looks like it's locking in. Really, at any point, we could see something pop. So I'll be really surprised if we don't get through this pattern, without some type of significant snowstorm, maybe even multiple. It's that type of pattern. Nothing's guaranteed. You still need pieces to time up right. But as far as the pattern goes, it's about as good as it can get, at this juncture. So that's the GFS ensembles. I'll show you the EPS, the European ensembles, and you'll see much of the same. January 4th, there's our storm threat, 6th to the 8th, and then all the way to the end of the run. So this pattern's locking in, and one of the reasons, pop over to the MJO right here, the MJO is going to favorable phases now, popping into 7 here shortly, and then it's going to go into 8, 1, and 2. So the end of the run here is about the 25th or so. So I think, now through, or I should say January 1st to the 25th, pattern really looks to lock in. We'll have to see what happens beyond that, but that's 3.5 going 4 weeks from now. But certainly over the next 4 weeks or so, it looks like this pattern is going to be locking in. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching.